Hello, Bobcats. This is Mrs. Wilhite. We are still in Chapter 2. We're actually closing up Chapter 2 with the last lesson, Lesson 10. It has to deal with multiplying by two-digit numbers. It is a 5th grade standard. You have to learn it in 5th grade. I'm hoping at the end of today's lesson that you'll be able to multiply 3-digit number by a 2-digit number. So yesterday we dealt with single-digit numbers being multiplied by multi-digit numbers. Today we're going to have 2-digit numbers being multiplied by something larger. It'll help you, the main idea, why? Well, it's a standard. But besides being a 5th grade standard, it'll help you with your efficiency. It'll help you be able to solve things quickly. Efficiency has to do with the speed or the rate at which you do something. It's going to help you multiply faster by knowing these steps. And it'll also help you with money. So if you buy something for $3.16 and you want to buy 15 of them, you'll hopefully be able to figure out if you have enough money. So again, I'm going to help you multiply a 2-digit number by something larger in today's lesson. All right, before we get into our steps, our lesson, what do you already know about estimating before you multiply? From my experience, I know that when you estimate, it helps you see or determine if something is reasonable. You can use your estimation and look at your answer and think, am I on the right track? Do I have the right answer? So again, make sure we estimate. Don't skip that first step because it helps you. In my experience, it helps me know when I have to redo a problem or when I can go ahead and move on. All right, step 1, of course, estimate. So we have something to look back on. We're going to look at our estimation and we're going to think, do I have the right answer? Am I close to what I should have gotten? Okay, and after we estimate, we'll multiply that single digit ones place. Then we'll multiply that double digit, the 2-digit tens place. And we're going to add the two values together. Finally, is it reasonable? We'll look back at our estimation to see, are we on the right track or do we need to try that problem again? So again, we'll estimate, we'll multiply by the single digit like we did yesterday. Then we'll multiply by that double digit, that tens place. Put those values together by adding, and then finally check our answer. Does it make sense? All right, example 1, math in my world. Domestic cats can run up to 44 feet per second on land. At this rate, how many feet could a cat run in 12 seconds? Well, I need to figure out how many feet it can run. Well, I'm going to estimate, and I'm going to estimate that 12 to 10 so I can do my mental math. 44 times 1 is 44, and add your 0. So I'm estimating it can run about 440 feet. Let's see if we get a reasonable answer. Step 2, multiply that ones place. That's that single digit 2. 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 44 is 88, so the ones place is done, that single digit multiplication. Now I'm going to multiply by the tens place, or step 3. The tens place is here. I'm done with the 2. Because I'm done with that single digit, I can put a 0 here. And I'm going to multiply 1 times 4, and then 1 times 4. So 10 times 44 did give me 440 in the tens place. And the next step, of course, is to add those values together. And I have 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 528. So the answer is 528 feet. How many feet can a cat run in 12 seconds? I believe it's 528 feet. And I think it's reasonable because it's pretty close to my estimation. I can move on. All right, example number 2. Find 165 times 31. Well, step 1 is I'm going to multiply. But first I need to estimate. 165 is pretty close to 200. 31 is close to 30. This will allow me to do that mental math. 3 times 2 is 6, and then don't forget your 3 zeros. I should get an answer that's close to 6,000. I'm going to start with the ones place. Okay, and I know 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 6, and then 1 times 1. 165. Now I'm ready to move on to the tens place, which is 30 or 3. So I'm going to put a 0 because I'm done with the single digit ones place. And I'm going to multiply the 3 or the 30 by all of those numbers. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So 4,950 is in the tens place. I can go ahead and add the two values. I know 5 plus 0 is 5. 6 plus 5 is 11. I can bring up my 1. I have 11 again, bring up my 1. And so the answer I got was 5,115. It's reasonable because if I look at my estimation, that's pretty close to 6,000. I can go ahead and move on. All right, I'm now going to go ahead and move into guided practice. Multiply 32 times 13. Well, if I estimate, it's close to 30 and it's close to 10. 3 times 1 is 3 and add my 2 zeros. I should get an answer close to 300. I'm going to multiply the ones place. Step 2 says that ones place. And remember, the ones place is the single digit. 3 times 2 is 6. And then I know 3 times 3 is 9. So 96 is the value of that single digit ones place. Moving on now to the tens place. In order to multiply by 10 or move into that tens place, I can cross off the ones place and add a 0 as a placeholder. And then I'm going to multiply 1 times 2. Well, that's 2. 1 times 3 is 3. So 320 for my tens place. Okay, and the next step is to add those two. Well, 6 plus 0 is 6. 9, 10, 11. Bring up my 1. 416. I determine the answer is 416. It's reasonable because it's close to my estimation. Don't forget to check your answer. All right, moving into guided practice. Remember, we're going to estimate, multiply, and then check our answer. Well, this is pretty close to 100, and this is close to 10. Okay, and so if I multiplied those, I know that my answer should be darn close to 1,000. If I don't get an answer that's close to 1,000, then I didn't get it correct. Step 2. Multiply the ones place. Well, the 2 is in the ones place. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 0 is nothing. 2 times 1 is 2. I'm done with the ones place. In order to multiply by the tens place, I'm going to cross off the 2 and add a 0. And now I can go ahead and multiply 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. If I add all those values together, then I get 1,224, which is really close to my estimation. So I know it's reasonable. Problem 3 in guided practice. Start with your estimation. This is close to 100. This is close to 60. Well, I know 6 times 1 is 6, so it should be close to 6,000. Let's see if we get an answer that's close to that. Starting with the ones place, that single digit 6. 6 times 2 is 6. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 1 is 6. Now, in order for me to move into the tens place, I can cross off the single digit ones and put a 0. 50, right? So 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 0 is 0 plus the 1. 5 times 1 is 5. I can add the ones place and the tens place. 6, 0 plus 0, 7. So 5,706 is close to my estimation. I know it's reasonable. I'm ready to go ahead and move on. Okay, independent practice, problem 4. We're going to estimate, multiply, and check our answer. Well, this is close to 20 times 20. I know 2 times 2 is 4, and I'm going to add my 2 zeros. I better get an answer close to 400 to have a reasonable answer. Multiplying by the ones place, which is the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, and then 1 times 2 is 2, so 24. And I know that 1 times 24 is 24, so I'm on the right track. I can go ahead and cross off the single digit ones place, put my 0 so that I can multiply by 20 or the 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. So I can go ahead and add these values together. Well, I know 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 2 is 10, bring up my 1. 504 is close to my estimation. That last step I got to check, so I can go ahead and move on. All right, I'm still in independent practice. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to estimate, multiply, and check my answer. I'm going to move into problem number 7. It's pretty close to 50. This is pretty close to 80. I know 5 times 8 is 40, and then add my 2 zeros. I should get an answer close to 4,000 to be correct. Start with the ones place, right? Step 2, multiply that single digit. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. In order to move into the tens place, I can cross off that single digit ones, put a 0, and I'm going to do 80, right? 8 times 1, 8 times 5 is 40. And now if I add these values together, I should hopefully get something really close to that 4,000. And 4,182 is what I theorize the answer to be. It's reasonable because it's close to that 4,000. I can keep going. All right, we're in independent practice. Notice that the format has changed a little in the problem they're asking. It's still the same steps though. We're going to estimate, multiply, and check our answer. We're going to estimate first. Well, 367 is close to 400. 83 is close to 80. So if I multiply that together, mental math, 8 times 4 is that 32. And then there's 3 zeros. I should get something pretty close to 32,000 to be correct. So I'm going to go ahead and start multiplying by the ones place. Step 2, that 3. 3 times 7 is 21. Bring up my 2. And I'm going to say 3 times 6 is 18, plus the 2 is 20. So I can bring up the 2. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. Okay, I'm finished with the ones place, so I'm going to go ahead and cross it off, add my placeholder, and then I'm going to go ahead and try to solve the tens place. The tens place is that 8. 8 times 7, right? It's really 80. So 8 times 7 is 56. Bring up the 5. And now I need to figure out what is 8 times 6. Well, that's 48. 48 plus 5 is 53. Bring up the 5. And now I need to do 8 times 3 is 24. Plus the 5 is 29. So I have my ones place value by multiplying by that single digit 3. I have my tens place by multiplying by 80. I can add those values together. All right, and as I add the values together, I get 30,461. I theorize the answer to be that. I know it's reasonable because 32,000, my estimation, is close to the actual answer, 30,461. All right, moving into problem solving. Marshall's mother buys 2 boxes of granola bars each week. Each box contains 8 granola bars. If she continues buying 2 boxes each week, how many granola bars will she buy in a year? Well, there's the question mark. So, how many granola bars will she have after 1 year? Well, she buys 2 boxes every week. And those 2 boxes give her 8 in each. So each week she actually has 16 granola bars. And how many weeks are in a year? Well, it says here there's 52. So they're asking me to multiply 52 weeks times the 16 bars that they get each week. So I can estimate first. If I estimate, then I'll be able to figure out if my answer is reasonable. Well, 52 is pretty darn close to 50. And 16 is close to 20. And I could do my mental math. So 5 times 2 and then add my zeros. I'm guessing that it'll be close to 1,000 granola bars a year. Let's see what the actual answer is. 6 times 2, I'm going to multiply by the ones place, which is the 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Bring up my 1. And then I have to do 6 times 5, which is 30, plus the 1. 31. I'm done with the ones place. So I can go ahead and cross off that ones place, add my 0, and then go ahead and multiply by 10. The 1 being in the tens place. 1 times 2, 1 times 5, so 520. 52 times 10 is 520. So I can add these values together to see if I get something close to 1,000. Well, I know that 2 plus nothing is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. So I surmise the answer is 832 granola bars a year. It's reasonable because it is close to the estimation I got. Problem solving number 15. A delivery truck travels 278 miles each day. How far does it travel in 25 days? Well, it travels 278 in 1 day, but it's going to drive for 25 days. Well, it's close to 300, and this is close to 30. So 3 times 3 is 9. It should be close to 9,000. It'll be less than 9,000 because I estimated up, I rounded up. It'll be less than 9,000, but that should give me a clue as to whether my answer's close. 8 times 5, that ones place is 40. Bring up my 4. And 7 times 5 is 35, plus 4 is 39. Bring up the 3. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 1,390 is the ones place. I can go ahead and cross off the 5. Add my 0 because I'm now multiplying by 20, or the 2. And I can think, how many times will 2 multiply 8? Well, 2 times 8 is 16. Bring up my 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Bring up my 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. I can go ahead and add these values together to see if I get something close to my estimation. Well, 0 plus 0 is 0. 9 plus 6 is 15. Bring up the 1. 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 5 plus 1 is 6. So I got 6,950. I surmise the answer is that. It's less than my estimation. That's reasonable because it's close and I did get a value less than 9,000. So I'm going to answer the question. How far does it travel in 25 days? The delivery truck will travel 6,950 miles in 25 days. All right, Bobcats, what did you learn today? Well, in summary, today I learned how to multiply 2-digit numbers by multi-digit numbers. I learned the value of estimation. I learned that if I estimate first, I can see if my answer makes sense. And I'm hoping that if you can figure out the algorithm or how to multiply 2-digit numbers by multi-digit numbers, it will help you. And I appreciate your attention, so please make sure you estimate before you start your independent work, before you actually begin to multiply, whether you do MyMath or your workbook, and follow those steps. Thank you for your attention.